And we are live. This is episode 70 of Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. I am Mike Myland, and that is my partner on that side, Blaine Birch. Blaine, what's going on, my man?
Oh, man, number 70. It's another round number, so that's kind of exciting. And before the end of the year, so that's really cool because we're right before the holidays here.
Hey, something weird is going on. All right, so as you can tell, I'm undergoing a big remodel of my office, right? Changed the color. I even put a dimmer switch on the light, but I feel like my camera's not as clear now. I don't know what it is.
Probably lights, yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple lights here that go off my ceiling and shine down and light me up. But the office looks great. I love the color.
It is all right. So this is how fancy we are now. Courtney's sister worked for months or years, I can't tell which, on a custom color at Sherwin-Williams. I mean, she just kept having different things mixed, and we have the whole recipe, and she allowed us permission to use her custom color that she had made. So nice. I don't even know what color that is.
Well, you get to name it. No, she gets to name it then. So you can ask her. Ask her if she wants to name it like Mike's office. You know, it matches your hat though, so maybe it isn't that custom of a color.
Well, you know what's funny? And it doesn't match the hat. That's the funny thing. The lights are playing with it, and her whole library is in this, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's just an awesome looking color. We're not doing it justice with this camera, this light, because when you come here, Blaine, you're gonna go, holy shit, that's not what I thought it was, because it does not look the same on the camera.
Yeah, well, it looks cool from here, and you know what? Maybe I'll have to see if I can buy her a beer and borrow the color, because I'm not crazy about this color. I think we're gonna repaint this room one of these days. I don't know. It's dark brown. I don't know why I did it that color. I just blanked out one day, and this is what I did. It's maybe I was drinking a stout at the time, and because it probably matches. You know, that's the problem. But anyway.
Okay, so this is the last episode that we're recording before, we'll say, Christmas, New Year's, or end of Hanukkah, any of the holiday seasons you're celebrating right now. We're right at the end of that, going into next year. So 70, I can't believe we got 70 in for one, but I really enjoyed it, and I want to thank you as for just allowing me to be part of this experiment with you for the last I'm going to say 70 plus weeks.
Easily, yeah, and well plus because we missed a few here and there, but thank you, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I think it was your idea, maybe not, I can't remember, but this has been super fun, and I look forward to it every single week. And man, it's like the week or two we take vacation in the summer, I miss it. So even this year we'll try and sneak it in if we can.
Yeah, right on. So I mean, I didn't want to let it go this year. We went to Cabo. I'm like, oh no, I'm doing it from Cabo.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's the one job I'll take with me. So, hey, what are you drinking today?
Today, now this is not a super indie one, but I just really like this beer. I've had so many of them. The Great Divide Yeti, and I saw this in the fridge, and I was looking at all these little microbrews and stuff, and then I love the can. It's got this like silhouette of a Yeti, and from Denver, Colorado, Imperial Stout is a delicious beer, a great example of an Imperial Stout. That's just fun. I've had a bunch. I thought today I'm actually going to show these guys because it's just a cool beer.
Yeah, right on. Right on. So I ran across the new one I hadn't seen before. We have nicknames for the HEBs. That's the big grocery store around here. I mean, just depending on where they're located, and we got one that's called Spring Branch. We got another one that we call Big HEB. We got another one that's called Little HEB. We got another one called Shitty HEB. Yeah, but that way, we know what we're talking about. We're like, oh yeah, we're talking about Shitty HEB, right?
Yeah.
it's not shitty. It's just too far away for us. So that's why we call it HEB. So, but anyway, I found this one at Little HEB, and it's by Tupps Brewery in McKinney, Texas. So another Texas beer that I found called Juice Pack, but it's a double dry hop pale ale. So I'm expecting, double dry hopped. I'm expecting this to just kind of hit me right in the mouth.
Yeah, that should be a nice beer. A good shot of bitter, but in a good way. That's great.
Yeah, I think so. Ooh, I wasn't wrong. That has a lot of flavor, man. That has a lot to it. So it's also we're coming to the end on our sponsor, right? So My Life in the Book. We've been with them all fall, right? For some timber right up to Christmas. So this will be the last one that we'll produce for them and get them out the door. But I've really enjoyed working with them. I still like their product, and wish them continued success. And but we'll have our last reading of the script today. That means there's an opportunity out there for you, right? So that means we took them as an exclusive sponsor, meaning we weren't going to deal with anybody else while we were, working with them. But you have an opportunity now to work with us the next quarter. Just contact us on the website, and that website is mikeandblaine.com.
Yeah, come visit us. You can also buy some beer, buy some merch, check out our other episodes, all the rest. But looking for a new sponsor for the new year, and don't worry, we're gonna do this either way. It's great when they just approach us and say, "Hey, can we sponsor?" Yeah, cool, that's awesome. So My Life in a Book was just a terrific one. They're a great product, really cool company. It was super fun.
Yeah. All right. So right before this recording, I went down a 5,000 row spreadsheet rabbit hole, right? looking for weirdness. And I started that project about 1:30 this afternoon. And you contacted me at 10 after 4 saying, "Hey, are we doing this thing or what?" Meaning that it sucked me into a vortex. If you ever looked at TikToks or Reels or YouTube videos, I was in this massive Excel sheet vortex. You ever been there?
Oh man, yeah. I had to do one not too long ago. I had to build a spreadsheet, and then I had to do all these verifications. Because I'm like, well, I got to make sure this adds up right. So I made my own little verification fields, but then I color coded them. So, and by the time you step back, you're kind of like, look at this. This is like a thing of beauty that no one else is going to care about except for me. But I was really impressed with myself for building it.
Yeah, I've been on this massive spreadsheet building kick for that course I built, and it just like, it's the reason why you built Dry Run, right? so a guy like me wouldn't have to deal with a spreadsheet.
If I could have ran this, what I was doing through Dry Run, guaranteed, but it wasn't financial in that way. So I couldn't, but if I could have, it would have been like, oh man, it'd be done in 2 minutes instead of like hours. But then you're really impressed with yourself because I'm like, oh man, it's like I just built a garage in that much time. So
this is where I totally made a big mistake. I took on this little contract with GoDaddy on my website. And then all of a sudden, though, without me really realizing it, I had 2 CRM lists going at the same time. And then people would there was an unsubscribe on both of them, but you could unsubscribe from one and not the other. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm going to get everybody mad at me here in a second by not taking you off my list when you've unsubscribed. So I've been going through trying to match 2 lists and create one master list and get them both in sync. And I'm probably not the right guy for that job when it comes right down to it.
I hate to say it, but there's ways, because I know some of my staff have done it before. When we've had to merge a list like that, they just run something and it just does it all for you. It's like a little magic. I'm not that, I don't get into that much depth, but it probably was a 2-minute job once you know how to do it, unfortunately. But
oh, I turned that big. I made a career out of a 2-minute. That's kind of what I did. Yeah. An unpaid career out of a 2-minute job.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What do we got going today?
So that kind of, that's a good segue, right? Because Henry Ford said that, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right. And I think you called it like a mind bender, a mind twister, right? Right off that. So what hit you in the gut? What's your first instinct there?
I like the quote because it speaks so much to how important belief is, how important sticking with it is, how important grinding through the hard parts are. It all comes down so much to belief, and it's that you believe you can do it. You're right. You believe you can't do it. You're right. It just, I think the mental set, especially for being an entrepreneur, for running a business, it's so important to really believe. And we've heard that a million times, like entrepreneurs just have this probably completely unrealistic belief in what they're doing.
Well, I mean, I think this carries through everything, every aspect of your life. I mean, some people when you're young, I was actually pretty good at baseball, growing up, right? And, people say, oh, that's natural ability. Well, I think I was better because I believed that I was better. But, people told me, oh, you're pretty good. I'm like, well, then I got better because people had told me I was good. So I believed I was good and, kind of worked at that craft a little bit more. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, is what Henry's talking about there.
Yes. Now, it is a little like belief is just that it's to me, having that belief that you can do something is you have to go 99% of the way, and it's that one last percent that puts you over the top. Like, belief in itself won't get you anywhere. But it feels to me like if you have that belief, it puts you over the top. If you don't have that belief, it just drags you back, right? Because I'm sure I've had times where I've done things like, well, I didn't even know I could do that, and you somehow pull it off. And then I know there's other times, like at my age, I learned last summer there's a few things I can't do anymore on a skateboard, and I sure as hell believed I could until I was skidding down the road, So it's there's the whole skill thing and everything mixed with it. But there is wisdom in it, though, right?
Yeah, I can tell you how excited I was to go to jump school. Right, I was a paratrooper in the military, but how freaking scared I was at the same time. 19 years old, you're like, going, okay, well, okay, I'm getting ready to go jump out of airplanes for a living. You're like going, this doesn't feel right, especially if you're a farm kid from Illinois. You're like, going, that just doesn't feel right to be able to jump out of an airplane. But it was one of those things where it's a 3-week school, to get qualified. As you progress through, because they do like a ground week, you do a whole week just on the ground. You throw yourself on the ground. You practice these, what they call PLS, parachute landing falls. You just throw yourself on the ground, throw yourself on the ground, throw yourself on the ground for a whole week. And maybe you stand up on a box and then throw yourself on the ground. But really what you're doing is you're learning how to fall no matter which way the wind blows you. So if you're going backwards, if you're going sideways, left, right, you try to position yourself, to make a great landing. Yeah. But you're still throwing yourself on the ground. But what that does, it's a muscle memory after that. When it's tips of the toes, calves, hip, shoulder, and then flip your feet over. It's kind of a big roll. But you just remember that. I mean, I'm 50 years old now, 35, 40 years ago, and I can still remember how to do that, right? Yeah. Well, the second week is all about, they call it Tower Week, right? Where you go up in a 20-foot tower, and they have these cables. So you practice going out the door, and it simulates a parachute opening above you because it's sucking you out down these cables, right? The way you would a door. So that again builds that confidence in you. I can do this. Yeah. I can do this. I believe I can do it. And then the last week, of course, is just all jumps, right? So you make all your jumps in the last week, but that progression sets in your mind, I can do this. I think I can. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well, it's it's funny because for all the shows that we've done here, we have rarely brought any of these things back into sports. Like we never sort of talk about sports, but off the air sometimes we do, right? Like we really we both watch sports. This reminds me so much of watching I'm from Edmonton, we're watching hockey all the time, and right now there's a couple guys on the team that are really struggling, and they always talk about is they're lacking confidence. So they have all the skill, like we're talking world-class skill. And when they're on, things are going really well. And when they're off, it just seems like things are always going wrong. And when we talk about confidence, that is basically the mindset. That's what's in your mind. You believe you can do it or you believe you can't. And that, what I think it speaks to me is it's easy to say, well, just believe that you can do it. But it's not that easy. It's like, how do you actually change a mindset? Because that's the tough part of it, of actually changing the mindset.
Well, I've seen salesmen. I've had it, right? Salesmen get in that funk where you take so many losses in a row where people just know you to death. And all of a sudden, you start to reach, you start to try a little bit harder and it's still another no. And then it starts to become desperate. And I don't know what it is. People can smell desperation. This guy's pushing way too hard. It's coming across a little strong. And so you don't buy because of the feeling that the person that's trying too hard actually gives off.
Yeah.
And that's where that confidence comes in. I go away from the basics, the things where I was doing that I was successful at, and I start trying too hard, reaching or forcing it, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone can relate to that. It's like almost no matter what you do, and the more you do it, and you, especially if you're sort of elite in an area, you not that I'm saying I'm elite in an area, but like you're involved in something like that. That mindset is really, it's hard to keep it constant. Like it's just, you're going to get, no matter who you are, you're going to get these ups and downs. And maybe that's the difference between like a absolute superstar sort of thing, is maybe they can just reset easier. Maybe they have a way where they just, they can get that confidence back easier. They have maybe more to draw on. I don't know what it is, but it's a fun.
Yeah. You see it with quarterbacks, you see it with pitchers. Like a pitcher gives up a home run, he's got to go right back to the next batter. He can't that's got to just roll off his back. Quarterback throws an interception, same way. That's just got to roll off your back and can't get in your brain, can't get in your head. Now, here's something that I teach kind of in my course. It's about set points that happen in your life. There are certain things that I think create a set point where you get comfortable, but it also becomes a limiting factor for you. Let me give you an example. Hey, have you ever gotten like a large sum of money at once? Like just saying, more than you'd gotten before, right? It's just a big sum of money. Say you got $20,000 from something, or $50,000. I don't know what's a big number to you. $1 million to you, I guess, is probably a big
$30. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a different one. If you got $50,000 today, what would you do? What do you think most people's answer are?
Are you talking like in business or personally? Like, I guess business is sort of just as a watch, but personally.
Let's just say personally. What would you do if you got a large sum of money? We'll say 50 grand.
Yeah, I think it doesn't sound that fun, but my immediate thing is I would sort of slice some off to be like, this is kind of some funny money. We're going to go, I don't know, like paint the house or like do something with it. And then my natural thing is, and I'm going to make this other money make me more money. Like I guarantee you that's like, even personally, I'm going to say, well, we're going to do something with that. We're going to invest it in some way. We can make good with that. Like the one thing we would do is go and just like drop 50 grand and buy stuff that we don't really like. No.
You know what? The most normal thing in the world to do, and I've talked to 100+ people about this, and they all kind of say, well, I'm going to pay off this debt. I'm going to buy this thing. I'm going to do that thing. It doesn't matter what that is. They're all doing that. And they take and almost get rid of it. It's like, I got it. I don't know what to do with it. All I can do is get rid of it, because they want to get comfortable back to their set point, right? Having and seeing $50,000 in your bank account. I've seen people where they just go to their phone just so they can see it. They can't fucking believe there's $50,000 in their account, right? So they just go look at it, right? And then they go out and think of ways to get rid of it, right? They want to get rid of it as fast as they got it, so they can get back to their comfortable level. That's why most people's bank accounts end up around the same level all the time. It just never really grows because they get comfortable in a certain band. right? So what I'm asking people to do is let's reset the set point. If you're comfortable with $2,000 a month in your bank account, that's why you always spend down to $2,000, because you get uncomfortable when it's under 2,000. Why not reset it? You get that $50,000. Say 30 is now my uncomfortable part. You got to reset your brain and go, anytime I spend under the 30,000, and then all of a sudden that becomes comfortable, and it's uncomfortable not to have $30,000 in your bank account. Right. So it's the thing you can't think you can.
I agree, but I also I just this entrepreneur opportunity. We do say 30 grand in my bank account. I'm going, that's not making me any money. Like, so to me, it's like, this is opportunity. And that's what I look at as, what could you do with that opportunity, and how much, invest some of it, invest probably a bunch of it, some of it. Honestly, right now, people will laugh and scream at me, but I'm like, I'd put some into crypto right now because it's low and it's a good bet because it's so low, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity there. No, there's a lot of risk potentially, but
Yeah, well, but you have an entrepreneurial mindset, right? That you're going to use money to make money. The normal person that goes to their job every day in and out doesn't think like that. They think about, okay, I need to create less burden and give myself a little happiness, right? Less burden, which means I pay down the debt. More happiness means I get some things maybe I didn't have. But then they get right back into a comfort zone, and it doesn't just happen with money. I think it also happens with, we'll say, weight. Where people go out there and they go, they're at a comfortable weight, and they go, I'm gonna go lose weight, and they go lose weight, and they get down to something more, and then it doesn't stick. Why didn't it stick? Because they were more comfortable at the other weight, so they go back to doing the things that made them that weight to begin with. Yeah. There's got to be a different way to reset what you think is comfortable and what's uncomfortable, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean. Look at me, I'm fat. I mean, but that's the way we think. We don't take time to adjust. I was just going to say,
go ahead. Sorry. I was making a stupid joke about health food and as I drink my beer.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying, we don't take time when we find ourselves in a good situation. We don't take the time to do nothing and just reset, saying, I was here. Now I'm here, higher, better, and I don't let it set in to where that becomes the normal in my life, right? I gravitate back towards what was normal too quickly. I think that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I feel like, and I've found this over the years so many times, entrepreneurs just tend to be wired differently. And I know I'm wired differently than a lot of people I know. I'm like, this is just how I am, but I don't think I do well with settling back in, right? Like, what an entrepreneur is, it's like, you're always like pushing to go over that next ridge. And as soon as you're on that ridge, like the problem with me is stopping and actually looking around a bit before I'm like, oh no, we're going to the next one. And we're going to the next one. And it's just a different, I guess a different mindset, but it feels to me like it's hardwired in. It's not like, I don't feel like I trained myself or learned this. It's just, this is just where I go, right?
Hey, all right. So my first home as a kid that I can remember was a trailer, right? So I'm one of those trailer park kids. We were on the free lunch program. I had the tickets. I just get my ticket and I got free lunch, right? Because I think you can make the inference that we were poor, very poor, right? So you think I want to go back there? Right. Based on what I'm doing now, building swimming pools, living in this house, there's no way I will do everything possible because I know that's not comfortable for me anymore. Right. My new set point right here. Yeah. Right. So many people, they'll climb the ladder and then they'll backslide somehow. Something will happen where they backslide, whether it's their fault or not. There's a comfort level at the lower level that they like. And when they get up and start interacting at a different level, it don't feel right. It makes them nervous.
Yeah, I get, and it's, I guess it's just like, I think maybe a lot of entrepreneurs are uncomfortable with the status quo. right? Like that's what makes you uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, you're trying to find something comfortable, and it's push or it's grow or it's expand or it's this. Or maybe that's just the. But I get what you're saying is that's for if you're not stuck. I don't want to say that, but it comes back to like we were talking about the mindset, right? So if you believe this is where you're at is true, but if you believe you're going to be, over here doing this or doing that, that's also true. So that is so much a mindset. It's amazing how much that mindset does adjust people's behavior, right? Or affect people's behavior.
That very first little bar that I bought, it was only doing about $350,000 a year for like 5 years before me, because they felt comfortable there. I mean, remember all the stuff that was happening? Remember all those things that were happening? It's just like they all felt comfortable, and nobody wanted to try to grow or make the business better. I come in there, I take it over $500,000 in the first year, and almost hit $1 million in this place 3 years later.
Yeah.
All because I'm like going, no, this thing is supposed to make me money. I mean, because this is the machine, and this machine is going to work for me. And the way you should operate a business, which is, operate it like a cash machine. It is here to generate money for me.
And if it's not being effective enough, it's not the fact that it's generating money that's enough. It's like if you want to be able to grow and have more comfortable for yourself and your team and your customers and everything, you have to be able to look outside of this little comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. So, but I mean, I guess where I'm trying, let's connect that back to what Henry Ford said. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I think that's what I'm saying is that if it doesn't feel comfortable, you're right. You're going to go back to what's more comfortable, right? You're not going to be able to operate and figure out how to operate at that next level. So, because I was late to the recording, and we picked the topic 2 seconds before we showed. I'm grasping here, man. You got to bail me out.
Well, no, I think you're right on point, but I never know the topic till we start, so I'm used to that, So I think I can come up with some BS that will spew out here without any trouble at all. No, I think it's a really interesting topic because it just talks so much about how important it is, confidence, mindset. And when you start thinking about it, it's amazing how much confidence and mindset can be affected by other people, right? Like, that's one of the big external factors. There's other factors that come in, but as an entrepreneur, how many times you've sort of had pushback where people say kind of right to your face or around in a roundabout way, that's not going to work, or this. And their mindset changes when they start seeing it working, right? But their first reaction often is, that ain't going to work,
It's funny you said that. I mean, people can influence you. I tell my kids, I tell people all the time, one person can change your life for better or for worse. Just one person, right? I mean, you start hanging out with the wrong people in high school or college, and they're going to take you down one path just because, that's what happens, or vice versa. You hang out with a different group that elevates you, makes you think, more deeply about subjects and motivates you to do better things.
Yeah.
One person makes a difference, and I had that one person in my life for sure. And I actually, this is a weird deal. And I know he doesn't listen to it, but it was the librarian at my high school. Right. And I think he said my grandfather was going through chemo and cancer and all this type of stuff when I was in high school. And there were times when I had to leave early because my grandmother didn't have a driver's license, and I had to go drive her, around. And I didn't live with my parents at the time. They got divorced and kind of went wild, and I went to live with my grandma and grandpa. But the other thing is I had to work nights, right? After sports practices, and I had to go to work because my grandfather couldn't bring any income anymore. So I was providing income to the family as well. He recognized that and brought me on the library staff and put me, maybe the first hour library staff. And on occasion, if I was really just dog tired, he just let me just sit in the back and just rest, relax, do a little bit of work. But he says, hey, go get some rest. You got school to do as well. But he saw something in me. Now he pushed me, kicked my ass a little bit. And Phil, if you're out there and you listen to this one day, I wrote him a Facebook message when we first connected and thanked him because his caring changed my life. One guy. Yeah. Just his caring. It's not even related to me, just seeing a situation and extending a hand out when I needed it. It changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. People matter with everything you do. And, as an entrepreneur, like how much mentors matter and advisors matter, and especially your team and your whole support system, family, friends, and everything, they can all affect it. But it's amazing how, and hopefully the one person that has the biggest effect is a positive effect and not a negative effect, right? Because that can be, it could be a distraction as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, my neighborhood, tale of two kids. I became a police officer. He went to prison. Lived right across the street, best friends. But something happened in high school where I hung out with one group and he hung out with a different group when we got to high school, and that was the path. And that's the classic tale of that one person can change your life. Yeah. And unfortunately, I wasn't the one that could change his. Right? Now I think about it. That I wasn't the one that could change and bring it with me.
But what you're not doing is giving yourself the credit for recognizing the opportunity and grabbing the opportunity, right? Because you could have easily, the librarian offers you a job, you didn't have to take it. Like you made a string of decisions that he recognized first the decisions you're making and realized that he believed in you. And then there's a string of decisions that you made that that led you there too, right? So like you took advantage of opportunity, which is terrific. People can have such a great effect, but they can only have that effect on you if you're willing to accept it, if you recognize the value that they're bringing you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we might have said this in an early episode. I feel like I've told this to somebody else, but like it was Bill Clinton that says, and I don't normally, pay attention to what presidents say, but it was this one quote. He says, you are as much defined by the opportunities you take as the ones you pass on. And I don't know why that stuck with me all these years, from way back when, but it really means that when you have a series of opportunities, not all of them are going to be good for you.
Yeah, you have to know when to say no. That's Say like one of our mentors not too long ago, and I'm sure he can sort of come up with it, but he said that he emphasizes over and over again the second best answer is no, right? Like, and he's talking about more of a sales perspective, but you don't want to get strung along, right? But there's a ton of value in no. Someone tells you no, you're off on somewhere else. But the ability for you to say no is incredibly important. And like it's funny. Like I remember when it was quite a bit younger, early in my career, I think I had a much more sort of people pleasing tendencies. I would have trouble saying no to things. I would, like that there was more of that. And I don't know if I've grown wiser or I'm just kind of an asshole now, but like I have no trouble saying no. Right? Like I just have nope. Just that's nope. That's not in the realm, right?
I'm like you. I really only look for 4 things as an outcome to a sales call, right? A yes or no. The other 2 are a little bit different, which is I learned a lesson. You taught me a lesson about, what not to do during a sales call, or you gave me a referral like, oh yeah, it's not for you, but who else you think might, get something out of this? So I mean, there's only 4 things. I don't like, let me think about it. I don't like, let me talk to my wife. I don't like, anything that's a delay is bad for both, right? It's just bad for both of us. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. Hey, speaking of not delaying, it's about that time in our podcast where let's send them out with a bang here. Let's mylifeinabook.com has been a gracious and supportive sponsor now for several months, and they're sponsoring this. This is the last one in their package. So today's episode is sponsored by mylifeinabook.com, and I got to tell you, it's probably the most thoughtful gift that I've ever come across for anyone in your family. I'm going to even extend it to anybody you know right now, right? Will be a great gift, no matter the occasion. You know, it could be their birthday, Christmas, it doesn't matter. They can get it anytime. And it's a powerful way to connect with them emotionally and help them preserve their precious memories and show them that you really care about them and their past and their memories and the future of the people that need to hear these stories as well. Best of all, it's instantaneous. You can even get it at the last minute, like today before Christmas.
So here's how it works. Every week, My Life in a Book lets you choose from a list of thought-provoking questions or even write your own, which gets sent to your relative by email or friend. Because honestly, I would like to do this with you, Mike. I think it'd be pretty fun to actually have you write a bunch of stuff. But your relative answers their question and can choose to add a meaningful picture if they like. This happens every week. And at the end of 1 year, all their stories get combined in a beautiful keepsake book, and you can store your relatives' memories forever, pass them on to future generations. They're all printed and sent to you in a book. Right. I gotta say, I gotta remind you, in a book, like it's a cool book. It's not like they send you a little stack of paper. Like it's a really nice, beautiful book.
Yeah, again, if you're one of the younger folks that do all digital, this actually matters. You're going to want to look through this book. We used to look through them all the time. They're awesome. Meaning books.
Yeah, exactly. We've even wrote some.
God. We've even written a couple books. Yeah. And trust me, mine is so much better in my hand than on the screen.
Way better. Way better. You don't sign a screen. So
that's right. There you go. You do, but with a finger pen, and nobody wants to use those.
Yeah, lame.
Right. All right. So when you complete mylifeinabook.com, you can request as many copies as you want, even get it in audio format as well. With mylifeinabook.com, you can give those you love the most a personal gift that tells them that they're meaningful to you and all future generations. To save $10 off your first purchase, go to mylifeinabook.com and use the discount code NOBODY. That's mylifeinabook.com. And use the discount code NOBODY to get $10 off your first purchase at checkout. Nobody for nobody told me with Mike and Blaine.
And I want to mention too, like we've been talking about like how great this is as a Christmas gift. This is also a great opportunity because I know we're not far away from January 1st, and then all the New Year's resolutions come in, and it is also a perfect time to go, you know what, in 2023, I want to get this story. I want to get this story from my relative, from my parents, from my grandparents, whoever it is. Perfect opportunity to kick it off. So if you don't make it for Christmas, don't forget, it's a great time to get started in the new year. New you, get that story.
See, you can preserve your resolutions right then. Your first question could say, what's your New Year's resolution? What are you going to do this year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Okay,
but so going back to our topic here, there's an angle I think we should actually take a look at here, because we've talked about like your own belief. Do you believe in something or do you not? If you or do you believe you're right or do you believe you're wrong, right? So now, how do you transfer that belief to your team? Because I know like nobody's going to believe in dry run as much as me. Nobody is going to care as much as me. But how do you transfer that to the team where they have the belief that we can do it, that whatever it is that week that they're doing, whatever the next goal is, the milestone, we can make it there, and they have that belief, because you need them to believe. It's completely true. If you believe you can make it, you're going to make it. You're going to have a much better chance of making it than if you don't, you're likely to miss, right?
Yes, I mean that's so true. So you have to be able to transfer your belief to other people, right? And I think that's the linchpin to all sales, right? Because we buy into your motivation, your persuasion, your energy, and all those things kind of emitted, from what you believe. And I think that's why, like core values in a company are so important and so overlooked, right? I could talk to 10 business owners right now, and probably 2 of them have core values written down, if that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But that's the first step in getting the right team, is that you have to believe what I believe or it ain't going to work. So you have to believe, that like a core value that I have in most any company, I run, is I want simple over complex.
Yeah.
That means the way we think, the way we speak, the way we act, the way we interact with the public. I want things to be more simple and less complex, because I don't think it makes you sound smarter. I think it just alienates people.
Yeah. And I actually, I think it doesn't make you sound smarter. I think it makes you look uncomfortable. I totally agree, because it's the core values, it's your vision, it's your mission. Like they talk about that stuff, but it's like, oh, you got to write your vision and your mission, but it matters. It matters because company culture matters. It matters because your goals matter, and they're all connected. And so if you want to know who to hire and how to find that culture fit, because I know you, like me, have hired at times the wrong people. And then you go back and go, well, you know what? If we had really focused on the where we're going and our values and the culture fit and everything, that probably wouldn't have happened, because it's less common that I find that it's just sort of a technical reason, like the execution because you can train for that. It's usually culture, vision, mission. It's usually that not driving for the same thing that the company is.
Yeah, if you don't believe, if your company's mission is, that we're going to use this cash flow forecasting tool to eliminate cash flow as a problem why businesses fail, or whatever that is. If you don't believe that's what you're going to work to do, then you shouldn't be in that chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Your job is to help us avoid cash flow as a problem if businesses fail. If you don't believe that, then I don't think you should be part of the team.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have to have a bigger mission in mind, right? Like you have to, like we're trying to save businesses here. We're trying to save individuals that have gone out on a limb, that have put their life savings on the line, that have put everything on the line to try and build something. And that's who we're helping, and that's what matters. That's really what we're trying to do. We're not trying to sell someone software. But it's how we do it. Right?
What I think you did, I think what you did with that question is you put it in a mirror, saying whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. But if I put it in a mirror, it's whether I think you can or you can't, you're right. Right?
Yeah.
Which, meaning you being your customers, when they look at you, whether I think you as Blaine Dry Run can do this or not, you're right.
Yeah.
I think maybe I made that a little bit confusing, but
no, it's true.
Into me, or I'm looking at you from the outside. So I'm looking at it's an internal look or it's an external look, I think is what you're kind of describing there.
Yeah, exactly. Because that quote, the quote we're looking at is transferable, right? So yeah, you first of all, you look at yourself, but then you start looking at your team. You start looking at your customers. Your customers, they have to buy in. They have to believe as well. If they don't, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. We can't pick them up and do the work for them. We can't drag them the watering hole. They have to believe that. All we can do is do our best to encourage and to help transfer that energy, and like you said, and and train and do everything we can. But in the end, do they believe they can do it, or do they believe they can't? They're right either way. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So who do you think has the most customer confidence in your mind? Meaning customers like, yeah, when they say they're going to do something, I agree. I'm willing to tell other people that's who you should trust.
See, are you talking about the business that has the most confidence, or that they can transfer it, I guess?
I think it has to be transferable, meaning that reflective, meaning the customers believe that, not necessarily the company believes it, but the customers believe it.
I like, you're just gonna, um, I'm staring at it right now. Apple is it, like I'm looking at my laptop right now. Apple is one of the best at that. I think at transferring belief that their product is better than the competition's product, that it's going to work better than everybody else. And I believe that I'm going to have better support with them than anybody else, because, and I'm not like some massive fanboy, I guess, maybe because I got a lot of Apple products, but it's because they've sort of transferred that belief to me, right? Like iPad Pro, the one thing that Apple, you do not do very good is cases for Apple iPad Pro, because you've had to replace 2 of these, and you did it for free. And then I went and got like a Nomad case, which is bloody awesome because their cases kind of suck. But I really have belief that their products are going to work, and they're going to support me when something goes wrong too, right?
All right, so I've got Apple all over this house. I mean, even my TVs are Apple, right? Apple TV. So, but here's what I'm seeing: the way they treat their partners, and I don't like it. Like, we'll start with, if I want to sell, if I want to sell Apple products in my store, right? I've got a store. I want to sell Apple products. They dictate and bully terms on, and you almost make no money, but you just get the traffic. Oh, well, we're going to drive traffic to you. We're going to do, and there's so many other things that you have to do to become an Apple authorized dealer. Nike does the same thing. They all do the same things, but there's a point in time when the companies get so big that they beat up on everybody that they're trying to make money off of, but they're actually an extension of sales, right? They're an extension of sales. So I've seen too many people complain about relationships with Apple and relationships with, we'll say, Nike. Now, the second thing is this Apple App Store, right? I mean, you build apps, I build apps. This 30% that they take right off the top, man, is prohibitive for some young software developers to get in. And then now with all these things where if they don't like you, they just cut you out.
Yeah.
And you don't have, I mean, there's 2 marketplaces. And, really, I don't think, can you buy apps anywhere else besides Google and Apple? Is there another marketplace?
There's the sort of micro places, or like there's like we see, because we see in the accounting world, there's some of the app stores there will actually charge and try and make money if we've got the sale through them and things like that. But it's more of a referral fee. Yeah, like I get what you're saying, and but it comes back a little bit again to there's kind of it's a double-edged sword, because part of it is the reason they're kind of successful and they do it that way is because they want to maintain the culture, almost like we keep talking about. How do you maintain your brand and maintain the culture if you open it up too much? And then if you're too restrictive, nobody makes any money and nobody's successful. So I don't know where the kind of the middle ground is there either, right?
Well, I've just seen a transformation, we'll say, Apple over the last 10 years, where it seems like they're more omniscient than something I would champion. I'm becoming less of a champion because I'm fearful of how much power they actually do hold over the consumer.
I'll be honest with you, my feeling is completely polar opposite to that. Because if 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because I've been on Apple since I think it was like 99. Like it was probably when I bought probably worked at places where we had Apples, but then like my very first job, but started my first business and went and got a laptop, which I still got this is much newer, of course. But what's interesting is my iPad and my phone, my laptop, I used to be tied to an ecosystem. And that's how they get you, because you're tied in. So I'd have my apps, and my apps don't work anywhere else because you couldn't get them on Google or whatever, right? But over the years, everything's moved to the cloud. And so now I know I could go and replace my laptop, my phone, and my iPad with like Google products, or like just a different set of products, Windows products or whatever. And I would actually feel very little effect, because I would go to all the stuff that I use and just literally log in. And so it used to be that I actually had spent, like, man, back in our agency days, I can't even tell you how many thousands of dollars we would spend on software, and it would only run on the Mac, and it wouldn't, like, now you're like, our editing suites, thousands of dollars of crap, and it's all tied to that device. But now it's like, I could actually go get another phone. I'd be up and running in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot more parity now, right? All you're doing is learning a different language, which is, where's the close button, where's the minimize button, how do I find a file? You're learning really a different language. I mean, Windows or iOS. We got way off topic there, right? How about this? We're coming up on the end of an hour. Let's both answer this question. Was there ever a time when you thought you couldn't and you were right?
Let me think about that. No, like, this is a tougher question because nothing's popping into mind. Like, everything that pops into mind is more like, I'm going back to like sports or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I probably can't lift that. Or business wise, again, it's like, man, it's hard to be successful in business unless you have just a completely unnatural sense of confidence, right? And so it's I wouldn't be doing dry run if I didn't. Like, when I look at it now, I'm like, that is a risky endeavor. Like, when you look at how many companies would make it this long on something that risky and everything, it's like, but you started and you're like, no, I can do it. And it's like, every step of the way, the reason you keep going is because, yeah, we can do it. We can make this happen. We can. So I think it's hard in a business sense to really have that belief. Like, it's just, you got this unnatural belief that you're going to be successful, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think business has always kind of just came to me. I've learned how to navigate it better. I mean, I think there's a confidence there. I'm like, going, okay, well, I don't know how to do something, but I think quickly I can teach myself, or find a coach, or find somebody that can help me, right? Yeah. That doesn't scare. You know what? You know what's funny? I'm looking at that guitar right back there, and I've got a guitar over here, and I've been trying for a while now to learn how to play that sucker, and I don't know what it is. I'd like to think I got fat, stubby fingers, and then I see people on TV playing it with fat, stubby fingers. I'm like, well, that's not it. I think it's me. Maybe I can't do it. So I'm thinking, maybe that's my thing right now, is that guitar is kicking my ass, telling me I can't play it. And maybe I'm right.
Well, are you at the proverbial 10,000 hours on your guitar yet, though, right?
No.
I will say that I haven't played very much. I picked the last few years. It sits there, and it's stupid. I shouldn't have it in my office, because at night, you're finally done. You leave the office. I don't really want to go back in the office, so I should actually move it. But I did play it last week. I picked it up. I started playing, and then as I have a lot of confidence, I can play guitar, and then I realized I've forgotten all of these songs that I used to play in my sleep. They're gone. And there's one, it was really weird, because I started playing one and I'm like, oh, I used to play this in my sleep, and it's completely gone. And then I started, and then I got a little further and a little further, and it was like unlocking your brain in little pieces. Yeah. And you're like, oh, shit, it's coming back. I can do this, yeah. Right? But at first you're like, I don't think I can do this. It's not working. And all of a sudden it starts coming, and then you're going, oh, it's coming back. They're in there somewhere,
Yeah. So yeah, 2 years ago, I jumped on a skateboard thinking I was 15, 16 again. Yeah. That's the fastest way to land on the driveway.
The where I've got caught with that is the high. This is where it throws in the face, where I've tried something dumb thinking I could do it, like full absolute utter belief that I could, like I don't remember what I did one time. I was trying to kick up a board onto a curb or something, and like just it's like you're kind of making up the trick while you're doing it, kind of, and then just like out on the sidewalk, like just, and it didn't matter. The belief did not save me at all. Like just nope, not happening. I cannot execute anymore. Like I don't have the flexibility and or whatever, the dexterity I did when I was younger.
All right. So Mr. Ford, I'm thinking this today. I'm thinking that I believe that there's somebody listening to this that will go to our website, push the buy merch button or buy us a beer button and do it. Actually complete the task. I believe that can happen.
I believe it can too, because we've had it happen. We've sold merch, we've sold beer, not sold beer. People have bought us beer. We've sold and just so you know, we're not getting rich off the merch. Like we're barely over cost on it. So we're just thinking if we sell enough, we can buy ourselves beer. That's kind of our goal, I suppose. So
we're thinking we might even advertise a little bit next year.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
Get into something,
yeah. But this is going great. We steadily increase. We steadily have more downloads. I mean, you can see it. There's plenty of downloads as soon as this thing hits. You get downloads. So that's one of the great things. So it's been a good experiment so far, and I love just doing this. Episode 70, we're in the books. So whether you think you can do 70 or you can't, you're right. I think we can.
I think, well, can we do 7? We did 70. Can we do 71 before the end of the year? And I think we can.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm open.
Yep, we're booked. So we believe we can do 71 before the end of the year and the big 7-2 in first week of January.
All right. So, hey, you got 1 week left. 1 week left in the year. Go to mikeandblaine.com. Check us out. Look at, see what we have available. And I know you guys are going because I can see the hits. The hits are coming in. So I know you're going there. Subscribe, like, and comment. If you want to be a sponsor or just want to hear us talk about something, comment.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Well, looking forward to it. The last one of the year next week. It's going to be fun.